This was attributed to the closure of a few business houses within the district, such as the Bay Hotel and the Protea Boat House. With regard to levies, the council budgeted to collect 2,682,335 kwacha and collected 2,458,577. This resulted in a negative variance of 223,758 kwacha. This was due to a resolved dispute regarding levy by fish companies who proposed a lower charge. With regards to permits, Chair, the Council had a positive variance of 22,430, and this is because of the database update that was done, as well as the formation of a revenue collection task force. With regard to the commercial venture, our commercial venture, which is Lakeview Lodge, collected 184,255 kwacha, which was above target because of an increase in clientele after renovations of the lodge. With regard to other income, the local authority budgeted to collect 3,757,999 kwacha and collected 1,386,021 kwacha. This resulted in a negative variance of 2,371,978 kwacha. This was due to outstanding debts by fish companies attributed to dispute over charges regarding fish levy. With regard to national support, the council budgeted to receive 10,783,788 kwacha and received 11,494,188 kwacha. This was attributed to receipt of grant in lieu of rates for all government properties, which was not anticipated, as this is usually at government's discretion. I move to action taken, Chair. Management wishes to acknowledge that indeed there was an undercollection of revenue for the year under review, and the following actions have been taken to improve revenue collection. Number one, reviewed the budgeting process, matching with the main valuation rule to avoid overestimation as evidenced in the 2022 budget performance, where 95% collection efficiency has been achieved. Number two, stakeholder engagement, especially the fish companies, Chair. This is relating to developing payment plans on how they intend to be paying fish levy to the council, as well as clearing arrears. This resulted in 95% collection efficiency for the year 2022, as well as a reduction in the debtor's position. Chair, there's also the updated database for all the businesses within the district to monitor payments and revenue collection, which resulted in 90% revenue collection from business and fire permits in the year 2022. The council managed to procure a vehicle chair for revenue mobilization. Number five, we have reopened the renovated council lodge. This was in March 2021, and this results in increased clientele and revenue. In terms of remedial measure, the council management changed its approach in the 2022 and 2023 budget preparation process by only including realistic and achievable budget items forthwith. Further, the council will ensure that all budgeted for funds are collected within the financial year. Do I proceed to B?
Yes.
Thank you, Chair. B relates to accounting for revenue, failure to recover outstanding debts, and that is with regard to fish levy. The cause for the query: the council management wishes to report that the failure to recover outstanding fish levy debt was as a result of unresolved dispute regarding the fish levy by fish companies who tendered for negotiation to review fish levy charge from 1 kwacha to 80 ngwe per kilogram, and this was due to financial challenges that they were facing. In line with action taken, Chair, the Council management wishes to acknowledge the findings by the external auditor and wish to state that fish companies were engaged on a case-by-case basis to offset the fish levy which had accrued before the Council could consider reducing the levy from 1 kwacha to 80 ngwe. The companies were engaged to come up with payment plans to clear off the balances, and as at 31st December 2022, all the fish companies had cleared the arrears. Attached as Appendix 1 are the copies of payments, and these are available for verification. In terms of remedial measure, Council management wishes to state that meetings were held with individual fish companies to discuss way forward regarding fish levy payments, and this resulted in positive feedback for the year 2022, and the Council managed to collect 95% budget target and shall strive to continue engaging the fish companies to avoid being in arrears and to make payments on time. Allow me to proceed to C, Chair, which relates to management of assets, failure to claim insurance. I'll move to the cause for the query. The Council management wishes to acknowledge the observations made by the external auditors and wish to state that the cause for the query was failure to make an insurance claim by the time of audit. Action taken. Council management wishes to acknowledge the observations made by the external auditors and wish to submit that the local authority has been making follow-ups in writing with the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development, who are managing the insurance cover for the fire truck. Remedial measure. Management will continue engaging the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development regarding the claim from the insurance company to have the fire engine replaced. I move to D.
Yes, please.
Management of Constituency Development Fund. The cause for the query. Management wishes to acknowledge the observations made by the external auditors and wish to state that the cause for the query was the failure to implement approved 2020 CDF projects. Before I proceed, Chair, allow me to make a correction on the table that's before us under Siavonga, which says that construction of a 1x2 classroom block, staff house and ablution block. Chair, there was no ablution block. We wish that members can note that, because we have actually carried even the minutes as to how this project was approved arising from the CDF committee. So we could just help to look at the projects that we are looking at is construction of a 1x2 classroom block, a staff house, and construction of a 1x2 classroom block at Makakanya Community School. So the request.
And you're saying there was no ablution block?
Yes, Chair. The request is just to delete ablution block. I proceed, Chair, on the cause for the query. The Council management wishes to acknowledge the observations made by the external auditor and wish to state that the cause for the query was the failure to implement approved 2020 CDF projects. Action taken. The Council management wishes to acknowledge the observations made by the external auditor and wish to state that the contractors for the projects, namely construction of a 1x2 classroom block at Makakanya Community School, staff house, and 1x2 classroom block at Mangwalala Primary School, have moved to site and the projects are progressing well. Further, Council management wishes to state that the delays were as a result of procedural requirements in the procurement process, such as obtaining authority from the Director of Finance at the province and also the Attorney General's office. Attached as Appendix 2 are the pictures of the current status of the projects and other related information available for verification, Chair. Remedial measure. The Council management wishes to state that all the bottlenecks in terms of the delays in the procurement processes have been dealt with, and this has resulted in speedy execution of projects as evidenced in the management of 2022 CDF projects. Chair, management remains committed to timely implementation of CDF projects with close supervision. Under Bullet 2, Chair, we have a query on completion of 1x2 classroom block at Mundulundulu Community School. Allow me, Chair, to move to cause for the query. The Council management wishes to acknowledge the observations made by the external auditors and wish to state that the cause for the query was the delay in engaging a new contractor after termination of the previous contract with Asetma Enterprise. Action taken. Management wishes to acknowledge the observations made by the external auditors and wish to state that the insurance company which provided the advance performance bond of the first contractor was engaged to refund the Council, and the money was paid back in February 2023. A new contractor, Coptech Home Services, has been engaged to complete the project on labor-based contract at a total cost of 20,470 kwacha, 50 ngwe. Attached are the pictures of the current status of the project, which has made considerable progress, Chair, and these are attached in Appendix 3. Remedial measure. Management has ensured that 80% of the materials for the project are available on site and will continue to closely supervise the new contractor to ensure that the project is completed on time. E, Chair, relates to management of liabilities. Bullet 1 is failure to remit statutory obligations. I proceed to the cause for the query. The Council management wishes to state that the cause for the query was due to liquidity challenges that the Council faced in the period under review. In line with action taken, management has noted the external auditor's observation and wish to state that the Council is on a monthly basis paying towards the debt stock to the above mentioned statutory bodies according to the established time to pay agreements and our annual debt liquidation plan, because the Council does not have adequate funds to liquidate the whole debt at once. Further, Chair, you may wish to know that management applied for amnesty from Zambia Revenue Authority in the year 2022 and made a total payment of 926,000 Zambian kwacha towards the debt. In addition, the Council has managed to be up to date and paid up all the arrears with Local Authority Superannuation Fund, LASIF, amounting to 229,741 kwacha, and as at 31st December 2022, that was the position, Chair. Attached as Appendix 4 are the copies of payments and the time to pay agreements with ZRA, and they are available for verification, Chair. Remedial measure. The Council management will abide by the time to pay agreements made with Zambia Revenue Authority, the National Pension Scheme Authority, in order to clear the arrears. Although, Chair, I must mention that this will take a considerable period of time. I proceed to Bullet 2, which is failure to settle staff obligations. Thank you. Failure to settle staff obligations. The cause for the query is that Council management wishes to state that the failure to settle staff obligations was due to liquidity challenges that the Council faced in the period under review. In line with Action 10, the Council management notes no auditors and wish to submit that the Council, despite limitations in the financial resource envelope, has managed to pay a total sum of 150,000 kwacha in 2022, and management remains committed to offset the balance of 538,223 kwacha within the year 2023, and this, Chair, has been catered for in the 2023 budget. and this is attached as Appendix 6. Attached as Appendix 6 are the payment vouchers which are available for verification, Chair. The remedial measure, the council will continue paying all staff obligations when they are due to avoid accruing arrears, and allocation has been made, Chair, in the 2023 budget. I submit, Chair, for the committee's consideration. Thank you.
Thank you so much, witness.
Thank you.
Members, do you have any questions for Siavonga Town Council? Yes, Honorable Sumumba. Witness, when there's a question, you can just note, and you are free to respond after I give you the floor to respond. However, if you feel like you're not in the position to respond, you can pass on the question to your team, one of your teams, regarding the question. Honorable Sumumba, please.
Thank you very much, Chair. I'll take you to page 2, where there is the budget and income, the locally generated funds. Chair, I'm worried because when you look at fees and charges, you budgeted for 2,857,360. And you only managed to collect 773,658. As you know, that the duty of the council is to provide services to the people. And now when I look at the reasons that Chair they have given, it's not tallying with what I was expecting. When you look at permits, Chair, they have got a positive variance of 22,430, and the reason which they have given is because there was a formation of revenue collection task force. Also, when you go to commercial venture, there is over collection of 184, and the reason they have given was is because of there was a renovation of the lodge, and which increased the clientele. Other reasons which they are given when there is a negative variance is that of COVID. Now, I want to find out, why didn't COVID affect the commercial venture? Because mostly this is the vote which I was expecting the COVID to affect, but you corrected a positive variance of 184. Why didn't COVID affect this commercial venture? I submit, Chair.
Members, any more questions? Any more questions? Yes, Honorable Kampampi.
Thank you, Chair. CS, looking at again on your budget and income, you said one of the reasons you gave was non-compliance by property owners in terms of revenue collections. Now that you've managed to purchase a vehicle, can you demonstrate that you have improved on revenue collection efficiency? I submit, Chair.
Are there any more questions, members, on budget and income? I think you can respond.
Another one, Chair. The other one also is on other incomes. I would want also to know what are these other incomes that you have stated, because when you just say other incomes, we won't know what transpired. What are these other incomes? I submit, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Town Clerk, I think you can respond to that.
Thank you very much, Chair. I'll start with the first question, which was requesting for an answer on under fees and charges, where we were citing plots. Chair, the response is that a larger part of this amount was tied to the plots. The council had budgeted to raise a considerable amount of this figure from the plots, but we actually did not sell any plots. So if you have made a budget to say we are going to collect, say, 2 million from the sale of plots, and then you have a directive to say as local authorities you are not to sell plots, it inhibits you in terms of collecting that money, and that is exactly what happened in this case. A larger sum of this amount was supposed to come from the sale of plots. So the plots were never sold. The honorable member was giving an example to say, how come other votes, maybe I can answer his other two questions to say, how come other votes were able to record a positive variance? I think he cited an example of the commercial venture. The commercial venture, Chair, from my report, I did mention that it was under renovation. So when a place is under renovation, we did not anticipate that there would be such patronage after the renovations. So after the renovations, there were more people that were coming through to the lodge. Even now, Chair, I must admit that people are able to appreciate the effort or the way the lodge is actually looking now. So we are still experiencing more patronage than we did before. So that positive figure that came out, the 184,000, was because at the point of budgeting, we did not anticipate that amount, but then it came through because of the patronage that we received.
I think just a minute. Town clerk, the question is the CS.
Yes.
This is the town council. Thank you. CS.
Yes, sir.
The question is, the other ventures or other ventures were affected by COVID. And now this commercial venture, whereby that time of COVID, most of our lodges were affected. So why, how come on these other ventures there was an impact of COVID? Then it comes to this, there's a surplus at the time of COVID. That's the question the Honorable asked you.
Okay.
Yes.
Allow me to respond
Yeah,
then.
and also on the same, I think there was another question that he asked on the same, the other incomes. What are those other incomes? You can go ahead and respond. Okay.
Just to add the
CS,
one
you
more,
can switch off
CS,
the mic first. Thank you.
the chairperson and the honorable member saying why. We've heard you. You've said because the law.
Kindly introduce yourself.
Oh, sorry, Chair. I'm Mudelo Mishek, MP for Mitete. We've heard you to say the lodge was under renovation. Hence, we had now more patronage. Were they not affected by COVID? Because the reason you have given is COVID. Was now the lodge becoming in a center for multiplying COVID?
You can respond, CS.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to clarify one thing, Chair. I get the question. It's not that I missed the question. My response is that a positive variance, I'm not an accountant, and if there will be need, I'll allow my treasurer to respond, but I believe I could respond to this. When you record a positive variance, it's as a result of what you had budgeted under a particular vote. So, as a local authority, we did not anticipate that because of the renovations that were going on, we did not anticipate that even at that time we were going to raise so much money. So it's the positive variance is recorded as a result of the fact that we did not budget for such an increase, and that increase came up because this is a lodge which could have maybe gone through the whole year under renovation. But then the renovation was concluded before the end of the year, and we did have some patronage. So that resulted in people actually coming to the lodge. And that is where that positive amount is coming in. Then in line with...
Just a minute, CS, just switch off the mic.
Yeah,
Honorable Kamboni.
Thank you.
Yes.
You did renovations. What was the purpose of renovating? You were doing renovations with a purpose that, in my view, it looks better. And if it is better, it would attract more clients. So why didn't you foresee that? Because you took steps to achieve something. And then you are saying here you didn't anticipate. But if you are saying it was just at this, because when you do some changes, there's something we are hoping to achieve. And so why members are worried is, on the other reasons, we have given COVID, which I think the committee does not believe is the reason. Because on the other hand, there's a positive response. Mm-hmm. So they're trying to analyze your saying, you're giving COVID as an excuse. And on the other side, it brings positive results. But if you renovated, sure, the one who was doing budgeting should have anticipated something. It might not have been up to this level, but surely something, but not the way it is here. And we want your comments on that one.
Just a minute. CS. Honorable Simumba.
Thank you very much, Chair. When you look at the local taxes, the submission that the CS made, the reason for non-payment of property rates was due non-availability of reliable transport to enhance revenue collection, as well as COVID-19, which affected hotels and lodges.
In terms of patronage.
That is the reasons. But the same lodges and hotels, for the vote of commercial, you raised about 184. So we want these things to reconcile. How? In the other part, you are saying COVID affected the lodges. The other part, there is a positive variance. How can you reconcile the two? That's the question. Thank you, Chair.
You can respond to the CS. Wait a minute, CS. Respond to the concerns raised by Honorable Smumba, Honorable Kamboni, and Honorable Mutelo. Over the same thing, over this other hand, COVID is affecting lodges and hotels, so to say. Then on the other side, when it comes to income on other side, is you've recorded a plus. Then on the other side, on other incomes, you're saying COVID affected this. So that's what members are trying to, to get a clarification from you. You can go ahead and respond, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Chair. I get the question from the members, and I get the concern. I wish to clarify, Chair, that after the renovations, we had more patronage as a local authority. The rooms were much better than they were before, and more people came through. And I must also add, Chair, if you've ever been to our lodge, it's on a lower side compared to other lodges around. So I believe it's only normal that we could record a higher turnout and have more money than we had anticipated. So that amount is in relation to what was in our budget against what we collected. And I just had to report it as it is. And with regard to the issue of COVID-19 affecting other lodges, Chair, when we are trying to collect monies from these lodges, and I believe this is country over, lodges bemoaned low patronage, and it affected the rate at which they were paying. And when we mentioned this to say the reason was due to lack of available, reliable transport, and also the issue of COVID-19. These are the reasons we engage our clients. These are the reasons that they give us to say we are experiencing these challenges and the challenge of COVID-19. And truth be told, even just the increase in terms of people that are coming through to the district now after COVID-19, it's different from the way it was then. Lodges were indeed affected by low patronage, and this we are giving not as our position that we were affected by COVID-19. We could obviously have also done better, but in terms of what we had budgeted as a local authority on our lodge and what we recorded, it became higher. And we will not miss, Chair, but to acknowledge the fact that it's because we renovated our lodge, it looked much better, and our rates are quite low compared to other.
I've seen the treasurer wants to add a word to that.
What?
Do you want, just a minute? Would you like to help the CS? I've seen, or she has exhausted all the answers.
Chair, she has
You can switch off your mic.
Chair, she has exhausted all the answers. Just in addition to what the CS has submitted, Chair, you have been to Siavonga. There is demand for lodges, yes? And the rates are quite high in these other lodges. But for our lodge, which is the Siavonga Lodge, the rates are quite low. So with the renovations which took place, we attracted a lot of customers.
Okay.
That is what made us to make this profit. This is the profit which we made for the period under review. Of course, we didn't anticipate the profit because of what transpired in the previous years. It was very difficult for the council to make a profit from the commercial venture. But after the renovations, coupled with the lower rates which we charge as a local authority, we received a lot of customers. I submit, Chair.
Okay. Honorable Mtelo.
Thank you, CS and Treasurer. So what was so hard to mention it to say, one, we have low rates as compared to others? What was so hard? Why we are on this? If it is the same commercial venture, you never budgeted for it. But you scored. Why? You did the renovations and low rates. You yourselves doubted to say we will not get anything. You've got something. Why? No, we did the renovations. Our rates very low. Why didn't you put it? What you have put here is COVID. And you see as you've come out, let truth be told. COVID. So that's the same truth. This same COVID would not, because of the raw rates, you attracted more people. No wonder I asked, was now your guest, your lodge, a breeding center for COVID? Eh? Then you went on saying people's movements were equally low. So you are still now making us so hard to believe. You put it straight so that your committee will get things as to what they are.
You can go ahead, CS, to respond to other two questions which you were asked.
Thank you very much, Chair. I think considering the passion and the input from the members, allow me to note their their input and acknowledge.
You can go ahead.
Yes. I wish to agree that we may not speak maybe for the other ventures in the district as indicated. I'm simply saying we are noting the concerns from the members and agree with their observation.
Thank you. You can go ahead then to respond to other two questions,
Okay.
which were raised, I think, by Honorable Kampampi and Honorable Smumba again, I think. Yeah.
Which one? Okay. I think he had asked a question as to whether there's any change after the purchase of the revenue collection vehicle.
Yes, please.
Yes. I wish to mention, Chair, that the revenue collection vehicle came through this year, and I must say we have made very good use of it. We have been dispatching our officers every other day to take the demand notices and just ensure that there's robust revenue mobilization in the district.
If I may ask, the vehicle that you're referring to is not for CDF monitoring projects?
No.
All right. Thank you.
It's from locally generated revenue of the council. We saw that we needed to have a reliable vehicle. Chair, if you've been to Siavonga, the terrain requires a good vehicle for you to be able to go in the outskirts of Siavonga to collect revenue. Yes, and that is what we've been able to do, for us to reach areas like Chimata and others to just follow up. And I think considerably in the last few weeks that the vehicle has been in, we can say there's been a lot of a difference.
All right. Then the third question.
Which one is it? Okay, I think the
On
other,
the other
income,
incomes.
The other income, Chair, relates to fish levy, as I had indicated in the response. It's the debtor's position with regards to fish levy.
Okay, just a minute there. When you talk of fish levy, you're talking of here on page 4, other income, the local authority budgeted to collect 3,757,999,000 kwacha, and only collected 1,386,121 kwacha. This resulted in a negative variance of 2,371,978. This was due to outstanding debts by fish companies because of unresolved disputes over the charges regarding fish levy. Then again here we have the levies. On page 3, I take you to page 3. Page 3, under levies, the council budgeted to collect 2,682,335 kwacha and only collected 2,458,577,000 kwacha, which resulted in a negative variance of 223,758. This was due to unresolved dispute regarding fish levy by fish companies who proposed for a lower charge. So can you kindly help this committee just to reconcile, because looking at this other income and looking at this is quite it's contradicting. So kindly help this committee.
Chair, maybe before she comes.
Kindly switch off your mic.
She has mentioned to this committee to say other income is fish levy. Why didn't the very fish levy be part of the levies? Because if you say it was a fish levy, why didn't you include the very other incomes in levies? I submit, Chair.
Honorable Mtelo.
So that our CS will answer it all. This fish levy, it's a activity. So why would it come in other? Meanwhile, you know that we do get some revenues from fish.
You can respond to, I will take this to be 3 questions also from me. Yes, but it's one and the same question. They try to help the committee to understand here it's appearing as levies, and you've also mentioned the fish companies, and then under other, again, it's the same fish companies. So try to help this committee to get clarification from you.
Thank you very much, Chair. I wish to clarify that on the first bullet where we're looking at levies, where we reported to say we budgeted to collect 2,682,335, and we collected 2,458,577, and recorded a negative variance of 223,758. This was relating to the current budget. The levies were relating to the current budget, and that is where that 223,758 is coming up, Chair. And then on the next page, on other income, the other income was captured under debtors from the previous years. That was debt on the second one. The second one is relating to debt.
CS, just switch off your mic. I think this audit is an audit query for the year 2021. Yes. And whatever is in this report, we're not expecting it to carry maybe from the year 2020. It's all about the year 2021 and the responses that this committee is expecting for the financial year of 2021. Yeah, that's why now I think try to make it less complicated for the committee to understand. Maybe let me allow the permanent witness to come in.
Thank you, Chair, and possibly as submitted by the Council, because in their budgeting for 2021, they didn't lump in the current fiscal year, which is the levies, and it was properly disclosed as other income. I think in terms of financial disclosure, that was the way to go, because if they commingled it in the levies as outstanding and current 2021 budget, it would have actually done quite a lot of challenges in financial disclosures. So the way it is disclosed, if they capture the outstanding in other income, I think that is fine. Thank you.
Honorable members.
I think
Honorable, no wonder the chairperson asked to say we are dealing with 2021. What the CS has just said here, according to her, you said it's for which budget?
You switch off your mic, please.
The one you said, it's for which budget?
Just switch off your mic.
It was the debt brought forward, Chair. It was debt that the auditors queried. The first query on levies, the response on levies, the first one, is relating to the current budget as at that time, the amount, that was the variance at that time. Then the second one, Chair, on other income, is relating to debt that was brought forward, which was queried as well.
Okay. You can switch off your mic. Yes, Honorable.
I think I've gotten so much interested with the same date. Where do we stand as at now? From my understanding, this, although it was brought in like other incomes as 3.7 million, this was actually like brought forward from what you were being owed. So where do we stand as at now with this with date? I submit, Chair.
I think let's allow her to respond to, yeah. CS, please, you can respond. Once again, I just want you to feel free, CS. If you feel you cannot respond, the accountant or the the internal auditor or anyone, you can pass on the question to any of them to help you. Because all we want is just to help us to come up with a good report that we can give to the House. You can respond to Honorable Mutelo and Honorable Kapampi's question.
Thank you very much, Chair. As I had earlier indicated, by the end of 2022, the debt had been cleared.
Okay. Members, we can move on. Oh, Honorable Shilufya. Is your question still on the income and budget and income?
It will be cross-cutting.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Chair, for your indulgence.
And kindly introduce yourself.
My name is Chitalu Chilufya. I'm Member of Parliament for Massa Central. Welcome, Siavonga. Now, Siavonga is a principal tourism center for this country, and it attracts a lot of holidaymakers because of beautiful lodges along the lake shore, and there are a number of business opportunities, including fishing, many others. Now, it also tells us that then you have a huge opportunity to raise revenue. So, Council Secretary, are you content with your team that does revenue collection? Do you think you have the acumen as a team to identify all opportunities to raise revenue, and are you exploiting them, or do you think you can become more robust and aggressive as a team? I ask this in earnest because I noticed that all the audit queries that you have are informed by inadequate revenue. I see that you collected by 4.3 million on the first page there, and I noticed that even further down, your inability to pay statutory fees, your inability to meet human capital needs, are all because of inadequate revenue. Do you think you could invest in a more robust revenue collecting mechanism? Submit.
I think you can respond to that question.
Thank you very much, Chair. I'm sure you have taken note of the efforts that we have made with regard to how we performed in the 2022 budget. These are efforts that we have made, which include the purchase of the revenue mobilization vehicle that we prioritized, and we ensured that we did. And this year, that vehicle was actually delivered. We have come up with a revenue collection task force in the district that not only comprises members of the council. We are trying to see as much as possible. Just this past week, I had a meeting with the district director of health just to agree. In fact, she has given us one of her planners to be with us, because when you go out there to look at compliance, you've referred to tourism. When you go out there to look at compliance from the lodges, there are a number of, not that we want to be punitive, but there are a number of penalties that you could look at, lump on them, even as you want them to improve on compliance. So we have agreed to say we are not just going to work alone as a local authority, but officers from the Ministry of Health are going to work with us. They have been with us in the recent past to go to other ventures, even the fish companies like Zamfresh, conduct checks, and we are ensuring that we collect whatever we can. We collect from your compliance to pay the levies on time. We collect from your non-compliance to anything. We find cockroaches, that is why we are working with the team from health. And if you followed my report, Chair, we did mention a number of scores where we have made at 95% and over. This is mainly because of these efforts that we have made in the recent past. And what we are trying to do now is not to leave anyone out in terms of who could help us to ensure that the tourism industry conforms to what we are supposed to have and we are supposed to collect even as a local authority. So in terms of revenue collection, for us as a local authority, we want to create a benchmark, have people pay levies and permits and everything that they're supposed to do. If you look at 2022 on permits and even the fire certificates and everything, we practically collected as much as we could at over 95%. And these are efforts that we are making as a district. In committing and responding to the question by the Honorable Member Chair, I would say that we shall continue with the Revenue Mobilization Task Force, and we are just not trying to concentrate on just the lodges and hotel owners. We are also trying to collect everything that we can collect. I must mention that for the 2022 budget, Siavonga, in terms of performance, what percentage is that? 90% budget performance, which is the highest we have recorded in the past few years, and it's with these efforts that we are making. We are not proud of the queries before then, but I think we are moving forward and ensuring that we have a robust revenue mobilization team and working with stakeholders within our district.
Okay, thank you. There's a follow-up question for you. You can switch off your mic.
Council Secretary, your efforts are noted, and the strides that you've posted are appreciated. However, a few points, before I get to the few points, I should also appreciate the fact that you're coordinating with other stakeholders in the district. That is the way it should be. The council should actually be the convening point for all other sectors that manage the various social determinants of development in your district. And if you're working with the health sector, education sector, that is extremely important. And as you said, innovation will be important for you to raise your revenue. Now, if your budget performance is at 90% and you still don't meet your budget needs, there is need for you to look at your numbers again, and there is need to be moved out of the comfort zone, because sometimes we set the targets low. I still believe that if you can map Siavonga properly, there are many more business opportunities where you can raise revenue from. And I would urge you also to invest in an electronic collection platform where all the business opportunities are entered onto a database and allow people to pay electronically. Less need for moving around with vehicles, and people will actually be able to pay, and you'll be able to monitor compliance. That way you also improve efficiency of collection of your levies. So I will conclude by stating that your strides, the positive strides in the last year have been noted. You need to build on it and ensure that you even set your targets higher, so that when your budget performance is at 90%, we don't see you still having challenges in paying for human capital and statutory obligations and so on and so forth. My last question to you is, do you have other fire tenders in the other fire tender vehicles in your district? Because apparently this has been done for a long time. I hope this hasn't been asked before. One of the key services the council provides is fire services, and the fire can erupt anywhere, anytime. So I note with concern, that has been done for 2 years. I hope that there are other measures that you've put in place to respond to fire services.
Members, any more questions? Yes, I hope you are taking note.
Yes.
CS, there's a question.
Looking at, your resource envelope is shaking, and you collect tax to offer a service. What strategies now, in a synopsis, that you are now doing to make sure that your books can balance, and to assure me that next year you won't appear here? I get what I'm trying to say. Yes. What strategies are you doing as the CEO of this organization to make sure that what happened now is sorted out, and then you can raise more income so that you are able to offer good service? And if I may ask, just this year, what services have you offered to your clients or your community? Thank you.
Okay, CS, just to add to the question which was posed by Honorable Chilufya, I also noticed with concern over the issue of not having a fire tender, because you didn't indicate to this committee the or temporal measures. I needed, and I was really concerned to hear that you're still waiting for the government to intervene because they're the ones who are handling insurance. Just to add on to that, they say that when you're desperate, desperation calls for desperate measures. We are having a tourist capital, so to say, for Siavonga, or this side of Chirundu area, so to say. Now, in the meantime, you do not have a fire tender, and nearby there, you are also close to your, should I say, your terrain there. The kind of roads have been there, the kind of roads, anything can happen. Anything can happen. Now, what are your temporal measures? And what, I know you've written to the government, what other efforts are you making? Because, you know, the government will stand slowly, if the procedures. So what are you doing as a council to push harder so that they see the need of the agents of having this fire tender replaced? Because looking at the pictures, I don't think it can be repaired. So what are other measures you've taken, or what are the other efforts that you're doing? I think when you respond to that, we can move on. We can move on to other questions on management of constituency development fund. First, just respond to that. Just a minute.
To target on the services, we are happy. For 2022, Treasurer, you scored 90, eh? No wonder now the question from the CS, from Honorable Member here, to say, since you scored 90% of your budget, what services have you rendered on to the people of Siavonga? What services? You scored 90%. Thank you so much that he said, you know, the positive, and thank you so much. But me, not leading me. Because in the first place, just to tell us it's 90%, yes, we take it. It will come when the auditors will go. When we will really know. No wonder I said, are you really comfortable? Let's hope. Imagine come next year, you appear and it's not 90, like you have told us. Sometimes we don't forget. But allow me believe in you, 90%. What services? Because we are appreciating scoring. I'm taking it to know orally. I'm yet to prove if we will not see you.
Thank you so much. I think CS, please, you can respond to these questions.
Thank you very much, Chair. I think I would like to start with the one that was relating to the issue of the fire truck. They sounded like a number of questions, but I want to believe it's basically one question. It's been a challenge, I must say, and worrisome, being a tourism destination. Sometime last year we had a fire at one of our major lodges, Kariba Inns. It was very tough for us to handle, Chair. We had to call our colleagues from Chirundu, but of course, by the time they were coming, one of the local companies, Rezo, were able to come through to help put out the fire. That's responding to the honorable member's question to say, are there others maybe within the district that have? But I think I wouldn't want to maintain that as a comfortable position at all, because as a local authority, I don't know, and I wish I could actually appeal through this house that we need, as a local authority, to be assisted in that regard, with regard to a fire tender. It's not one that we can say we can buy. But then when we look at what measures we have put in place, Chair, I would mention the fact that we have focused mainly on a number of fire extinguishers that we have bought, and also just ensuring that we encourage our members in the district, those that have companies, lodges, business houses, to have basic fire management equipment. That is mainly the focus. And ourselves, we have these fire extinguishers, and we have a rapid response van that helps to respond to fires. But that is not adequate. That is not enough. In terms of how we are serving our community, I think in terms of
Just a minute, still on fire tender there. I'm just trying to find out the efforts that you are making to make the government realize the importance of that district being a tourist district, just like you've cited one incident. What are the efforts that you're making? I know you've appealed to this house, but you know, there's a saying in Bemba, ichikali pachumfo mwine. Omuchele okufina kuba kulusendere, meaning if you're carrying a bag of salt, you are able to tell the weight. Yes. And the one who is so much in trouble is you as the council. So what are the other efforts that you're making? How are you pushing on the doors of the government? We know, we all appreciate that as a council you cannot afford that. Even CDF cannot buy that fire tender. So what are the other efforts that you're making? I'm really concerned where you see me seated here. I'm just imagining I've come on holiday there, then the fire breaks out. Yeah. So what are the other efforts, or what do you intend to do way forward? Maybe if I can ask that in that manner. Because already you've alluded to that what you have is not sufficient. And it's like, it's not even helping out. So for this council to be heard by the government, what are the efforts that you've made other than the letter that you've written? You can write letters to them. We all write letters. Even as members, we write letters. We need this. But what are the efforts? Have you brought it to the attention of your member of parliament? Because that would be even the best person to run with this. Because it's really, I feel you are in a danger zone as we speak. Yeah. What are the efforts that you've made?
Thank you very much, Chair. So other than just the writing, I have been to the ministry several times over the same matter and requesting for us to be assisted in terms of a fire truck.
Have you ever engaged your area member of parliament on this issue? You've never? Just a suggestion. It's very important that you work with your area member of parliament.
Okay.
Okay, you can just switch off your mic. There's a question there.
Maybe the parent ministry can come in and help us, because they're the ones who procured those fire tenders. And from the information we have, these fire engines were insured. So how can it take 2 years for an engine not to be replaced, which was insured in the first place? I submit, Chair.
Permanent witness.
Thank you, Chair. I wish to submit that more details as PS is coming will be submitted. Actually, it's not only Siavonga that is in this scenario. We have Chilabombo, we have Solwez as well. And the insurance house, which is ZISC, has been engaged on these issues. to the extent of other intricacies of the pricings, I think, around this same transaction. But government is at the center of ensuring stopgap measures are put in those districts I've mentioned, Chirabombwe, Solwezi, and Siavonga. I submit.
Permanent witness.
Yes.
I'm really concerned. You are the parent, and you've seen the difficulties and the challenges that your children are facing. We're talking about life and death here, and it's taking more than 2 years. We're going to the 3rd year, and we cannot take it lightly that it's not only Siavonga which is affected. Looking at the terrain and where Siavonga is, for a track from Chirundi to get there, then we will have had fatalities. So what I want to find out from you, what would be maybe the assurance to this committee for the sake of the people of Siavonga? Because really, if we take it that you are going, all these councils, this and that, you talk of Solwezi. Solwezi can maybe be helped by the mines. Now we're talking of Siavonga. I don't see any close kind of aid that they can receive. So what can you do for this district or town in order for it, to be on, to be on the safe side as a parent institution?
I don't know if I can go ahead of the honorable members. Yes, just as I've indicated, PS is appearing, and right now is in the other committee on government assurance, where amongst those items, I think are such items. And as I've mentioned, within the 2023 budget, I think even ZISC has in this instance committed itself, notwithstanding the topical issues that have been around issues of fire tender procurement. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Members, I think we can have other questions on management of Constituency Development Fund. On this issue of fire tenders, the PS will be appearing before this committee. So we can leave that question for the PS when it comes to this committee. Yeah. Okay. I think we can just, we've placed it on record, permanent witness, that this is urgent and it's also hindering the revenue also of this council. So please note that as well. And members, you can also note, we've put it on record. Yeah. Can we move to management of Constituency Development Fund? Is it on the same question? Management of CDF. Yes, Honorable Smumba, you can go ahead.
Thank you very much, Chair. I will take you to failure to implement projects.
Oh, just a minute. I thought the CS wanted to say something. Okay, I've just noticed. You can switch on the mic, please.
There's a question I did not respond to, so I was wondering whether I would be given...
Please go ahead and respond.
Okay.
Because we are overwhelmed with the issue of fire tender.
Okay. Thank you very much, Chair. I just wanted to make mention, the House wanted to know in terms of what we are doing as a local authority to plow back some of these resources that we are getting as a local authority. Chair, I must mention that in the year 2022, we were able to give at 100% the money that we give to the Ward Development Committee, the Ward Development Fund, rather, about 1.1 million. Not per ward.
How many wards do you have?
We have 12 wards, Chair. So we have given out this money to the wards, at 100%, and what now remains is that we are working on all projects. You may acknowledge, Chair, that not every local authority is able to give the wards this 5% of their budget amount. But we're able to do that as a local authority because we feel that even our councillors, it's motivating for them to have something that they could do every other day within their wards for their local people, especially that these are projects that the local communities are able to look at to say this is what affects us and this is what we would want to have. So that we're able to fund at 100%. And we hope to do the same because our budget for 2023 has also provided for that, and we are committed to providing that. Chair, I must mention also that in terms of the roadworks, feeder roads and the township roads, we spent over 1 million kwacha in 2022 to work on the roads. We are also going to procure, looking at the terrain, Chair, of Siavonga Town Council, we have also begun the process of procuring a low bed, and we have this money saved up already as a local authority, amounting to 1.6 million, and this money is for a low bed that will help to carry our machinery, such as the excavators, to the far-flung areas. I just wanted to mention, Chair, that we are committed to providing these services to our people, given the amounts that come through.
Okay. Thank you, CS. Now we move to Management of Constituency Development Fund. Honorable, you still want to add the voice to budget and income?
Yes, thank you, Chair.
Okay, kindly introduce yourself. Kindly introduce yourself.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you. Welcome, Siavonga. I'm Kolara, Honorable Kolara from Rufu constituency in Ngawe district. Thank you. I just wanted the clarity on that one. I don't know, maybe just because maybe I wasn't there. This fund that has been secured, is it from the revenue? Is it from equalization fund? Or is it from CDF? That's the only clarity I want.
The one that they've paid out to
the one where they are doing the to WDCs. They've worked on the roads, and they've also they want to buy a low bed. Thank you, Chair.
CS, kindly respond to that.
Thank you, Chair. I want to just mention that these are locally generated funds that have funded these activities, Chair. We were being asked what we are doing with the money that we actually were able to secure from the last year. And maybe one important thing I forgot to mention, Chair, is that as we are being asked what services are we providing to the community, we are also looking out to other organizations that are able to support the local authority. Just yesterday, we were with KFW Development Bank in the district. We had made a submission last year for them to help us with a bus station, a market, and work on the township roads. And I think that even reminds me, there was a question from one of the members on what we're doing with the roads, because we've talked about the township roads that we were able to look at, but there are also these ones that are bituminous within the district. And we were given assurance, the team that came through, that was Dr. Christian and the Madam Anke, who is a technical advisor. This came through from the financial component of the bank, and they were assuring us that 2 million euros has been set aside to help the district. But we're only going to get the procurement parts of those things by October or so this year. So I just thought I could mention that we're making efforts to make submissions and see how we can help a district such as Siavonga, which is a tourism destination, to really stand out as a second tourism destination after Livingston.
Members, I think in the interest of time, we can move to Management of Constituency Development Fund. Oh, Honorable Smomba, did you ask a question? You can switch off your mic.
We move forward?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll take you to page 8, failure to implement the projects. A review of the approved list and the progress report of the Constituency Development Fund reviewed that 2 approved projects with a total allocation amounting to 893,200 had not been implemented. I want to ask the CS, now that we are expecting more than 20 million, what measures have you put in place as a council to ensure that the approved projects will be implemented without any delay? I submit, Chair.
Honorable Kamboni, and then Honorable Kambon.
Yeah, Madam, this is worrying. If you had about...
Honorable, can you kindly speak up a bit?
Yeah, I'm saying...
Oh, you put, yes.
Yeah, put it on. I'm saying this is worrying because you had 3.9 million only, and you couldn't use 2.7. And failure to use money that you are given is actually tantamount to negligence of duty. And there comes the Member of Parliament for Nakonde's question, that now actually that we have 28 million, 25 previously, the capacity seems is not there. With little money, you had more money that remained than what you spent. And now you have, I don't know how many times the more money that we have. We are concerned. What is it that we have done now that you will leave us with the confidence that the more money CDF we are given now will be able to be utilized on time? Because this time what happens that you see, if this quarter money comes from this year, if you don't use it by second quarter, they will not give you another amount. That's what's supposed to happen, except last year, money was not really coming on time. So with the effect from this year, once the first quarter money comes, you have not finished it, you can't submit how you used it, they will not give you for another quarter. So what is it that you are going to do now that you are not able to do in this budget that will give hope that the money that is coming will be used timely and accordingly? Thank you.
Honorable Kolala.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, the question has been asked about what you do now. Now, I was looking at the cause of the query, the response here. The Council of Management wishes to acknowledge the observation made by the external auditors and wish to state that the cause for the query was failure to implement the approved 2020 CDF and CDF projects. 2020 CDF projects. And we are dealing with the issue. This report, I presume, is 2021.
Yes, please.
And now, when you just look at this one, even itself, the way it is coming out is not giving the reason why there was a delay. It is just telling us to say it was the query was failure to implement the approved project for 2020. Now, what we need is the reason. Why did you delay? So that we understand what challenges you were going through. We've been given here, Chair through you.
Yes, please.
We've been given here a lot of projects that are going on. The roads have been done, the feeder roads have been done where they've spent 1 million. There are also wards, they've got activities so that on daily basis there's something happening. But what was so difficult with just CDF projects when these other things you've told us you're doing well? Thank you.
For now, CS, let's take those questions.
Thank you very much, Chair. I'll start with the first question, which was, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Chair, the questions sound like one question to me, which is basically the delay and why. I wish to state, Chair, that this was the position as at that time, and as given in our response, the case is different now. We took it up, the projects have been implemented, the contractors have been engaged, they are on site. Of course, we did cite that at the point when the contracts or rather the procurement processes were being engaged, I think country over. I remember being in attendance in a meeting where the president called all the principal officers in this country at Mulungushi International Conference Center, asking us what are the bottlenecks, why are we delaying in terms of implementation of CDF projects. And one of the challenges that we had, I think, at that time as local authorities, or rather by the time that my team and I were taking up this role, we had challenges of approvals, which we have cited in our report, that could come late. Those bottlenecks have been attended to. I must mention, Chair, that the delay at that time was as stated. I don't see any other way to put it, because that is how we saw it. But then that has been attended to. And those projects, once we got the approvals that we needed, they are on course, as you can see from the pictures that we have attached for the same projects that we're delaying. And also, I think we have given an example of what we have done. If you look at the 2022 CDF projects, I think one of the members was asking on the aspect of capacity. Doubtless we have the capacity, and that is why the 2022 projects are progressing very well, Chair.
Chair. Yes. Chair, I think maybe we make something clear here. The reason why we ask for reasons is this project that was supposed to be done in 2021, you come and do it in 2023, the cost will be more. We want to get the justification why we should accept government spending more money on it. That's why we're asking, what are those bottlenecks? Give us the information. That's the information we need. And we need it here.
Chair, on the same, because...
Just hold on. Just kindly switch off your mic.
On the same, Chair, one of the reasons she has given to this committee is because the projects were not approved in time. But here, the query is unimplemented, approved 2022 projects. 2020. Which means they were approved, but you didn't implement. That's why the question from my colleague is coming to say, we want to know, because I believe the prices of materials in 2020 is not the same even now. So if those projects of 2020 can be implemented now, who is going to bear the costs, the difference in cost? We would want also to know that. I submit, Chair.
Okay. Okay.
All we need is to speak the same language. Your reason is because of approvals. What you have written is approve the projects, already approved. No wonder you've now said they have moved on site. Okay. They already got approved. We presume they moved on site, and then maybe they have again moved on site. What were those problems? When you tell us, no, because of the approval, no, this is already, they were auditing on projects that were already what? Approved. They will not go and audit on unapproved and say delays. No. No.
Okay.
And even on the approvals, I should think again country over. When they were being approved centrally here, was that okay? Even for Siavonga? If it was okay, you and me know now that now they've gone at the province. We want things that will help your committee to table in the House to help the nation. But you cannot tell us no approval. They were already approved.
Okay, let her respond to those first three questions. You've already asked, Honorable. It will be like 4 questions for her, Honorable. You still want to go ahead? Okay, you can go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. When you check on 1 by 2 classroom block for Mundulu Ndulu Community School, you find that the contract actually was approved on 23rd March 2021, and the council entered into a contract with the contractor on this date. And you will find that the works were supposed to end on 30th June. So I don't know how the delay in approvals is coming. I just wanted to add that information. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. CS, you can respond to that. I also have a question for you on Mundulu.
It's Mundulundulu, Chair.
Don't mind the losses. They're your cousins. That's why they are saying whatever. Yeah.
Chair, could you allow me to respond?
Just a minute. Mundulu School. Yes. I would like you to respond. Kindly switch off. I would like you to respond to the 3 questions that have been raised by the 3 members of Parliament, Honorable Kolala, Honorable Smumba, and Honorable Mutelo. And as you respond, I appreciate that the Director of Works, he's just been there for a month, but I don't know if he has information to assist you with. But the internal auditor has been with the institution for, I think, since 2016, if I'm not mistaken. So we would like her also to help us to know why these projects which were approved in 2020 but could not be implemented until the time of audit. Maybe we hear from the internal auditor who had been there. And I think the senior accountant had been there a bit longer, if I'm not mistaken, the accountant. So we would like to hear, just maybe for us to get clarity on this, unless you tell us that you've got all the information, so that we move on quickly to the other questions regarding the same CDF.
Thank you very much, Chair. I think all the questions from the members were relating to approvals.
Okay.
Chair, we are not referring to approval from the ministry, which is the approval that was being cited. It was talking about the date of approval by the ministry. But then other than that, I want to believe members followed my report through. I did refer to the fact that upon that approval that came through from the ministry, there was need for the Director of Finance to have cleared the project in terms of financing. After that, it needed also to be cleared in terms of the contract that was drafted from the Attorney General's office. And I think these are the other issues that have also been clarified and cleared as it now in terms of trying to help to speed up the process. So the approval that was in the query was referring to the approval by the ministry. Once the approval is done, from my report, maybe let me refer to my report, Chair, so that I speak verbatim. I mentioned to say further on page 8, Council management wishes to state that the delays were as a result of procedural requirements in the procurement process, i.e. obtaining authority from the Director of Finance at the province and Attorney General. From the appendices, I think that we did put through, we were able to make mention of when we did send through some of these requests for approvals and they delayed. We were not referring to the approval from the ministry. And
CS, I think at the same time you're saying you're not talking about, kindly switch off. You're not talking about delays by the ministry. Again, here you're saying it was the delays by the due to procedural requirements of procurement. The Director of Finance at province, that's the ministry, I believe, because at the provincial it's then the Attorney General. So really, maybe you can help the nation to understand. Let me just help you here. These are 2020 projects. In your table here, you are showing construction of 1x2 CRB staff house was funded on the 1st of October 2021. That's a 2020 project. Construction of 1x2 CRB at Makakanya community was funded on the 1st of October 2021. Then date of project approval was done in January 2022. Date of project approval, same date in January. I'm giving you like examples. Then we move to the same Mundululu Community School. On 23rd March 2021, Council entered into a contract with Assetma Enterprise for completion of 1x2 and 1x2 classroom block at Mundululu Community School at a contract price of 200,000. The duration of the contracts was 12 weeks, starting from 23rd March 2021, ending 30th June 2021. I think that's what the other member was asking. The scope of works included construction of substructure and superstructure, fitting of windows and door frames, glazing, flooring, roofing, plastering, painting, and decorations, and other external works. As of 30th September 2022, the contract had been paid amounts totaling 220,000. On the 9th December 2022, the council terminated the contract as the contractor could not continue with works due to the escalation of the prices of building materials. Physical inspection, now I want to take you to, and then you said cause of the query. The council management wishes to acknowledge the observations made by the external auditors and wish to state that the cause for the query was delay in engaging a new contractor after termination of the previous contractor with Assetma Enterprise. Now, there's money which had been paid. Okay? Money had been paid, and we don't know if this money was paid for the works done. And then at the same time, you say the contractor could not proceed, and you terminated the contract. It's a bit maybe the permanent.
Chair, may we add on what you're saying, Chair?
Yes, please.
Please, Chair. I don't know. Maybe we should be told if there is another procedure, Chair, approval procedure. Because go to page. In the auditor's report, page 403, that's query to completion of 1x2 classroom block at Mundulundulu Community School. The first sentence, Chair, reads, on 23rd March 2021, that's the third month of the year, the council entered into a contract with this contractor for the completion of 1x2 classroom blocks at Mundulundulu. Contract price 200,000. The duration of the contract was 12 weeks, starting from 23rd March, ending 30th June. Chair, from here, this contract had to go to the Auditor General whether it's the Auditor General that is cited, and from there we had to wait to the Attorney General, and we had to wait for the Attorney General up to the time the auditors, the external auditors went to Siavonga. Is this true, Chair? Because the contract was entered into on this date.
Okay. Later, just respond. Kindly switch off your mic, sir. Yeah, later, just clarify on. Later, give a clarification on that. Yeah.
Chair, I think I'll need you to help me, Chair, because I think the two issues have been mixed up. I say so because the first query on the failure to implement projects, that is the one which was talking about an approval, and that is relating to the two projects in the box there, in the table. It's talking about an approval on 26th January 2022. And they were citing approval by the ministry. That is what they were citing as auditors. And we have mentioned, Chair, to say, despite that approval from the ministry, in line with the requirement of the procurement process, we also needed, after the ministry had approved the projects as submitted from the CDF committee, we send submissions to the ministry for approval. The ministry approved. And that date of approval is 26th January 2022. Yes. Then it came back to the local authority, and we now began the process in line with procurement requirement to also get an approval in terms of the financials from the Director of Finance at the province. We drafted a contract. That contract needed to be approved from Attorney General's office, which response we got in October 2022. You may appreciate that from the submissions that we have attached,
Just
Chair.
a minute. Here it's saying date of approval of a project was done in 2022 in January.
By the ministry, yes.
And then date of funding was done on the 1st of October 2021.
Mm-hmm.
Chair.
Sorry, are you seeing,
Chair,
are you
kindly
on that
just,
page? Are you on that page? Or so that we don't get mixed up? Because if it is 2022, then it's 2021. Then there's a mix-up.
No. Just a minute. When you look at your table, a project is being funded on the 1st of October 2021. How does the project get funded when it has not been approved? Then in 2020, page 8, and then in 2022, in January, that's the time of approval of a project. Permanent witness, maybe you can help us. Do you start with funding before a project is approved?
Thank you, Chair. Just as the paragraph by the Auditor General, the October 2021, that's when funding for CDF was done. And right from there, funded to councils.
Mm-hmm.
Then councils apply, send all the applications. And the ministry in January 2022, as cited by Auditor General, they were approved.
Mm-hmm.
From there, as the witness has submitted, Siavonga, then they got the approvals from the ministry. There was now a requirement for them in the order arrangement to take to the provincial administration,
Mm-hmm.
where directors of finance needed to confirm availability of funds. And equally, on the other hand, the contracts they drafted required to go to Attorney General for approvals. So in their submission, that's where they are saying, after approval by the
Just
ministry.
a minute,
Yes.
permanent
Yes.
witness.
Yes, Chair.
The funding has been done. The provincial has to confirm availability of
Yes.
funds.
Yes, that was the requirement.
How?
That was the requirement.
Okay.
Yes. So once, now that's why in their appendix they are saying, the procedure after the approval from the ministry, which they needed to satisfy to Director of Finance, Attorney General, could only be completed by October what? October 2022. Yes. And then that is for those two projects. On the other hand, the Mundulundulu project, it had an issue of contract termination, which was done. In terms of the cost implication, again, I think the witness is on firm ground that they encashed the performance bond which the contractor had. So in terms of the loss to the contract, it wasn't suffered here. I think that's what we can clarify. So in terms of the submission, it is in a flow. I think Auditor General would maybe agree with us.
Chair.
Or Accountant General.
Chair.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Chair. I appreciate the explanations and over the very unimplemented approved 2022 CDF projects. I'm a bit getting confused. When you look at the completion of 1x2 classroom block at Ndulu Community School, Chair, I'm sure it's the same, in the same range or in the same vein that these projects were for 2020. Now, why was this Mulundulundu, whatever name it is, was on 23rd March 2021, Council entered into the contract? The other side were being told that the ministry from local government approved in January 2022. The other side, the council entered on 23rd March 2021. Before the approval of the council, they entered into a contract again. So, how the two?
Thank you, Honorable Member. Yes, Honorable
Chair,
Kolala.
Thank you, Chair. I think also getting the explanation from the permanent witness, I think it's bringing a little bit of light, but maybe we just get that confirmation. The ministry approved in January. We've gone back to, and the process now took from January 10 months for it to finish. Is that what you are confirming to us? That the whole process to finish took 10 months?
Maybe the permanent witness, I saw that the permanent witness wanted to respond to that.
The first part of my response was what Honorable Smumba had raised. The caption of these projects, the Mundulundu project, is actually is not in the bullet one. So when you want to pick the 23rd March 2021 to take it to 26th January, there it will not work, because that's bullet one is dealing only with two projects. Then bullet two, it is dealing with this termination. I think that's what is distinct there. Then the other clarification which Honorable Kolala raised in terms of the 10 months, yes, that is now in view of the two projects on the table. Yeah, and I think which CSC and team has submitted in terms of the date when they submitted to provincial administration and Attorney General, and when they got the feedback, and then he went into the implementation. I think that's where it stands.
Yes, Chair. That's where I want them to confirm, because people are hearing. They need to know who is delaying their projects. 10 months process of approval, so that the owners of this project should know that there are people who kept their projects for 10 months just to approve. Let it be confirmed.
Chair, maybe just to say on that, not only in respect of Siavonga, but all the 156 constituencies, This is more reason I think government is on record. 2023, all the processes have been decentralized. It is to answer to those delayments in certain instances where we had those 10 months or maybe even more in certain instances. So the beauty about it is that right now all the procedures have been decentralized, and Attorney General, I think as provincial attorney officers, instead of coming to Lusaka. Equally for finance confirmation, I think all those have been done, and Siavonga can attest in terms of 2022 projects and 2023 projects. I submit.
Thank you, permanent witness. I think we need to make progress.
Chair, the permanent witness and the parent has carried all the scenes. So all these questions, when the PS
comes,
you
Okay.
yes, but to not take that lightly. But it's like local government is put itself on the cross. We will meet with them on the cross. They will be coming. But we are not in any, way wanting to see projects delaying. No. Not anymore. More so now.
Thank you, Honorable. I think we can move. If there are any other questions, we move. Yeah, we move to management of liabilities. If they have any other questions, I think Honorable Chilufi, I think, exhausted on that, if I remember correctly, and the CS responded. I will only allow maybe one more question from Honorable Kolala. Is it on management of liabilities, Honorable?
Thank you, Chair, for the opportunity. Actually, I just want to comment. Not really a question, because you've said we need to wind up. I think I just want to try and advise the council, because I've seen, I think, when these procedures, you leave them to yourselves with that whole process without involving the Member of Parliament, they definitely take too long. When you involve the Member of Parliament who run around for those approvals, it works quicker, and we will save on the time. I think that's what I wanted to say, Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Honorable Kolala. I did actually even indicate it. It's a very good counsel that you've given to the CS and the team. It's very important. It's very important that you work with the Member of Parliament, because the Member of Parliament is like a football which can be kicked here and there until you get to the goal, you score, to the post and you score. So it's very important that the way you are working with other ministries, Ministry of Health and what, but the one who would be at the apex of it should be the Member of Parliament. So I think it's a very good advice that you've received, and maybe you want just to add one or two words, and we need to wind up.
Chair, I just wanted to comment that actually the Member of Parliament has been very helpful in terms of most of the approvals, and that is why you could see that with the 2022 CDF projects, we haven't had much challenges. He's been willing to follow through. We've been communicating. I think he can attest to that. And I wish to also mention, just like you did, we value that advice and will continue to do so. Thank you.
And don't forget the issue of tender fire.
Thank you.
Honorable Mtelo.
Thank you, Chair. It was given on to you to say, no, Siavonga can attest to that. Tell us, is it true now that approving of this project is no longer done centrally? It's now being, done. I don't know. I don't want to give you answers. Your parent says you can attest. Please attest so that we hear to what is now obtaining. So, to avoid these delays and unnecessary.
Thank you very much, Chair. That is true, and I want to believe the way we have carried on with the 2022 CDF projects will bear witness in terms of that. We don't have those challenges or delays as they used to be before. The processes have been shortened, and one of the issues is even after the CDF committee has approved and we send to the provincial local government officer for approval, our provincial local government officer in Southern Province, Mr. Hamunyata, has made it clear, even if you sense any kind of delay, he's just a phone call away. You remind, say, could we have this approval? And we've been able to have them. A number of the Siavonga is one of those councils that has been taking a lot of, other than just a CDF in terms of projects that we've been cited for here. The short courses that people are going for now, most of our youths are going for skills training, bursaries, secondary boarding sponsorship. These are coming on every other week. If you send, you get the response within a week. It's far different from the way it used to be. But I just thought I should mention that even the MP would help us follow up. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Permanent witness, do you have any comments? Auditor General?
Thank you, Chair. CS and your team, we take note of your submission, but I just wanted to make one clarification and to urge you. On the unimplemented projects, you said there was no ablution block. I want to state that the information that we put in the report comes from the information and the documents that you give us. You were given preliminary queries, into management letter, and the DAP. You did not clarify that that was the case. The information that we put there came from the list that was given to us as the list of approved projects. In particular, that one was a construction of a 1x2 CRB at Mwangwalala with ablution block in Mwachamwa Inland Ward. So if you took time to go through the DAP and the intermanagement letter, you would have noticed that and would have clarified. We will be auditing you again. Please take interest to go through all the documents, the intermanagement letter, as we submit to you so that you respond and clarify where you need to. We will also come and look at this same PAC submission that you have made. So make sure that all the documents that you have submitted are in place, even as we look through them. We hope that what you have stated and the improvements that you've made are actually what is pertaining on the ground. I submit, Chair.
From the Ministry of Finance, Siavonga, I hope you've taken note of what the Honorable Committee has advised. And I would just like to advise that you need to just, as you execute your mandate, take note of the public financial management reforms that government has developed in executing your functions to help you improve service delivery to the people of Siavonga. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I wish to take note of the interest that the committee expressed on the fire tender and put on record that as a ministry we will expedite on that issue. As for Siavonga, take note of all the counsel you have been given here, and go and make it better. Much more is you a key destination in terms of tourism destination in the country. Thank you.
Thank you so much, permanent witness, and thank you so much, witness, for coming through. And I just want to remind you that the Cap 12, which we're enjoying, has been lifted. So if you say something outside this committee, you'll be on your own. And I want to say travel safely.
Non-employee, staff misplacement, transfers, irregular payments of personal related allowances, among others. However, Lusaka Provincial Administration has continued to engage Management Development Division to expedite the restructuring process of provincial administration to make it more responsive and relevant to the development aspirations of the people. Now, Chairperson, allow me to brief the committee on the cause and corrective action taken in the audit findings, paragraph number 3050. A review of the payroll system, financial and other records related to the payroll management and provincial administration office for the period January 2017 to December 2021 revealed the following. In the estimates of revenue and expenditure for the financial years ended 31st December 2017 to 2021, a total provisions of 291,529,710 was made to cater for personal emoluments under Lusaka Provincial Administration Office, against which amounts totaling to 326,639,669 were released and spent, as in table 1 below. The difference between, now cause of the query, Chairperson, the difference between personal emoluments, budget provision and funding releases for the years 2017 to 2021. Our response, Chairperson, the auditor's observation is noted. Management wishes to state that the difference between personal emoluments, budget provision, and the funding released amounting to 35,109,559 was caused by salary increment adjustment by budget office centrally. This came about as a result of collective bargain agreement between government and the union. Corrective action, Chairperson, budget office will ensure provision of salary increments allocated to Lusaka Provincial Administration wage bill each time there is a planned collective bargaining agreement between government and the unions. We have an attachment, which is Appendix 1. I come to payment of salaries to unknown employees, Chairperson. During the period under review, the provincial administration, Lusaka, paid salaries in amounts totaling to 436,014 to 2 employees who were not on their staff returns. As at 31st July 2022, the provincial administration had failed to account for the 2 unknown employees. Because of the query, payment of salaries to 2 officers who were not appearing on the provincial administration staff returns because they were recruited and allocated duty stations by their parent ministries. Our response, Chairperson and honorable members. The auditor's observation is noted. Management wishes to state that the 2 officers who were receiving salaries under Lusaka Provincial Administration but not appearing on the provincial administration staff returns were recruited and allocated duty station by their parent ministries. The officers in question were identified as follows. The first officer is a senior planner who served in the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development but attached to Southern Province. And this officer has since resigned on the 23rd May of 2022. The second officer was recruited by Minister of Tourism and is currently serving under the Provincial Forest Department in the Ministry of Green Economy. Copy of appointment and resignation letter for the senior planner, an appointment letter and arrival advance for the officer serving the Ministry of Green Economy is available. in Appendix 2. Now, our corrective action, Chairperson and honorable members of Parliament, Lusaka Province Administration, Lusaka Provincial Administration has since started reconciling the staff returns against the staff assignment to identify the record payroll discrepancies caused by the decision made by the line ministries. Misplacement of payroll area. Chairperson and honorable members of Parliament may wish to know that Cabinet Office Circular number 13 of 2019 requires that controlling officers should ensure that all employees under their respective ministries, provinces, and spending agencies are placed in their designated duty stations. Contrary to the circular, a comparison of staff returns and payroll revealed that 63 officers were paid salaries amounting to 13,384,283 from pay points which were different from their physical stations. As at 31st July 2022, the matter had not been corrected, as in table 2 below. So we have Chilanga, Kafue, Chirundu, and Chongwe, totaling the number to 63. Now the query, the challenge of dual reporting and the delayed restructuring of Lusaka Provincial Administration, which allows parent ministries to recruit and allocate duty stations without knowledge of their provincial administration. Chairperson, our response, the auditor's observation is noted. Management wishes to state that out of the 63 officers in question, 48 officers belong to Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Livestock. 2 officers belong to Ministry of Home Affairs. 6 officers belong to the abolished Ministry of Chiefs and Traditional Affairs and have never been on the Lusaka Provincial Administration payroll. 4 officers under community development are administratively attached to Kafue, Chongwe, Chirundu, and Chilanga district to help mitigate the staffing challenges in these districts, in these stations. I beg your pardon. While 1 officer under the Department of Community Development, Chipata district, is attached to Chilanga district on medical ground. 1 officer from Ministry of Labor was transferred to Lusaka Provincial Administration by the Ministry of Labor to fill a position where someone was already acting with a view to promotion. The officer has since been deployed to Southern in the same capacity. And the last one is 1 Assistant Community Development Officer from Kafue district who was sitting on the Northern Province payroll has since been moved to Lusaka Provincial Administration on swapping basis. In this case, Lusaka Province has no control over the stated misplacement which were created by the parent ministries in Appendix 3. Our corrective action, Chairperson, Lusaka Province engaged the Public Management Division to migrate the payroll area for the officers who were cited in the report to their parent ministries to resolve the staff misplacement, as they are responsible for the allocation of staff duty station. Failure to deduct NAPSA contribution, Chairperson. During the period under review, amounts totaling to 845,361 were paid to 61 officers as basic salaries. However, an examination of the payroll records revealed that statutory contribution in amounts totaling to 55,749 in respect of National Pension Scheme Authority NAPSA were not deducted contrary to the National Pension Scheme Act number 40 of 1996 as in table 3 below. Because of the query, Chairperson, omission of the NAPSA code at point of introduction of the officers on the payroll resulted into the payroll management and establishment control not deducting the NAPSA contribution from the basic pay. Our response: the auditor's observation is noted. Our management wishes to state that recoveries of the employees' share of undeducted NAPSA contributions arrears in amounts totaling to 55,749 involving 61 transactions have since been effected from the officers in Appendix 4. Corrective action and chairperson. Lusaka Province will continue ensuring that all newly recruited officers are subjected to all statutory contributions. Irregular payment of housing allowances. The Public Service Management Division Circular number B 24 of 2013 provides that housing allowances shall be paid to officers not accommodated by government in standard or poor houses through the payroll. Contrary to the circular, 9 officers working under Lusaka Provincial Administration Office who were occupying government houses were irregularly paid housing allowances in amounts totaling to 127,852 during the period under review. Cause of the query, chairperson. The payment of housing allowances to officers who were occupying government houses. Our response, chairperson, is that the auditor's observation is noted. Management wishes to state that the housing allowance, which was irregularly paid to 9 officers who were occupying government houses in amounts totaling to 127,852, is being recovered, and all the 9 payslips are available, as in Appendix 5. Recoveries has since been effected on the affected officers, and going forward, Lusaka Province will ensure that all departmental heads should inform the PEMIC user on new officers occupying institutional houses. I submit, Chair.
Thank you, PS, for your submission. Honorable colleagues, that's submission from PS. We can proceed and ask questions. Honorable Daka.
Thank you, Chair. Controlling officer, I'll take you to payment of salaries to our non-employees. Why did you allow an officer that was not serving in your province, but in Southern Province, under the Minister of Local Government, to continue appearing on your payroll without noticing the anomaly on time? I submit, Chair.
Thank you, PS. You can proceed.
Thank you, Chairperson. I'll ask my Director of Finance to respond to that, if you may allow me.
Finance and Human Resource, you can help your PS. You can proceed.
Thank you, Chair. As alluded in the explanation, the appointment of this officer was by the Line Ministry. And he was put on our payroll without actually any CC to the Office of Permanent Secretary. So these are the challenges of restructuring and dual reporting, where you find officers in the line ministries sometimes are put on the payroll for the province, but sometimes they don't even report to the PS, or they have no allegiance to the PS of the province. So we need to really have this restructuring in place so that the provincial PS is in total control. Currently, there's this confusion. I submit, Chair.
PS, we do believe you do your staff returns, even your reconciliations. So as and when that is such an occurrence, I think your staff, either HR, are able to pick it up and say, we've seen this has been done to the payroll. Because they're supposed to be also, they are also, I don't know if it's you call them end users or whatever, they're supposed to be aware. We do understand the process, and in an ideal situation, they should be conveyancing that this is happening. But suffice to say that even you yourselves, you see your payroll. So you're able to see that there's this introduction. What does it entail? So why should we have such anomalies if we're doing staff reconciliations? That's a question. Honorable Mukosa.
Thank you, Chair. My question is in line with what you have asked. PS, or maybe the Chief Human Resource Officer together with Finance Director, of course through the PS. I wanted to find out, in an event that there is an addition on your payroll and you are not kept in copy as to what that addition is, how do you pick the discrepancy between the records that you have and the payroll that you get, so that you are able to identify that there is something foreign on our payroll? Thank you.
Thank you. The Chief Human Resource.
Allow me to ask the Director of Finance to respond to that.
We want the Human Resource PS to answer. The Director of Finance will answer financial related, unless is also an end user. Director of Finance, you can proceed.
Thank you, Chair. Correctly observed, staff reconciliation is supposed to identify these issues. But the province, I think, as you may note, is big. It is not a small unit. It's bigger than most of the institutions. And that has districts, and yet the staffing, we just have two human resources officers. It is a task.
Director of Finance, answer the question. Not now you're speculating, you're going to, it's big, is what. We are seated here, we do understand how big Lusaka province is. Yes. But it's got people employed to do the job. So answer the question.
Chair, it's regrettable that the reconciliation did not support the issues concerned in time. However, over time, this issue was spotted and corrective action was taken. And going forward, we'll endeavor as a province to do a better job, Chair. I submit.
Chair, maybe I can come in, Chair.
PS, you want to come in?
Yes, Chair.
We can proceed.
I think it was an anomaly on our side that it took this long to identify that there was a foreigner on our payroll. I wonder why it took so long to identify. I think it was an anomaly on our part because just in the recent past, I must admit that we identified one just 2 months ago, and immediately we contacted the cabinet and we reported that matter. But in the past, it was an anomaly on our part, and we shall make sure that such a thing does not repeat itself, Chair. I submit.
Thank you, PS, but would like to know, he's saying some measures were taken. Which measures were taken as submitted by your Director of Finance, and also where have they been attached, that measure which was taken, to ensure that that is mitigated? Then before we proceed, Honorable Daka.
Chair, it's overtaken by event. Thank you.
Thank you. So Director of Finance, through the PS, you can proceed.
Chair, as indicated in the response, we do have staff returns to reconcile with the payroll, and those staff returns with the payroll help us identify the discrepancies, and once we find the discrepancies, we report to PSMD to help us correct the situation. I submit, Chair.
Honorable Daka.
Thank you, Chair. Director of Finance, of course, through PS. You have submitted to this committee that the province is too big, and these interventions of submitting returns and doing reconciliations have always been there. You know them. That those are the practices that can be used to detect whether the foreign person on your payroll or not. But you submitted to this committee that the province is too big. So this committee would want to appreciate the mechanisms that you have put in place to ensure that this doesn't repeat. I submit, Chairperson.
Thank you. PS, you can proceed.
As earlier on indicated to you, Chairperson and honorable members of Parliament, the biggest problem we had in the past was that we didn't have enough manpower to everything is in place. But this time around, we have enough manpower who are working hand in hand with our colleagues from Cabinet, and we are up to date. I submit, Chair.
Thank you. Director of Finance, you've heard what your PS has submitted, not that what you are telling us that Lusaka province is big, and all that, because we understand now there's a team and the staff complement is good, and we don't expect some of these issues. Who proceed, honorable colleagues? Let's go to misplacement of payroll area. PS, your province has got no direct HR?
Unfortunately, Chair, our province is not yet restructured. So the one heading HR is Assistant Secretary, is still called Assistant Secretary, who in the line ministry is equivalent to Assistant Director, Human Resource and Administration.
Thank you. Honorable colleagues, you can proceed and ask questions. Honorable Sabao.
Thank you, Chair. Mine is a submission from the PS. Before the last response, the response he had, he said the province is now fully fledged. But in the past submission, is saying not yet. When you asked about the Director, Human Resource, which one is he telling us? I submit, Chair.
Thank you. Next question. Yes, Honorable Wamnyuma.
Chair, these people who are misplaced on payroll, did the ministry confirm that they exist in the ministries that they are on payroll? Did you take time to verify that they are actually seated in those ministries? Because they could be ghost workers. I submit, Chair.
Thank you. PS, you've got those two questions. You can proceed and answer the questions.
Yes, the first one, what I meant by saying that we had gaps is that most of, even the few that we had, were not occupied. But this time we did ask for Cabinet to send us officers in human resource, whom we have. And we have also made an initiative to get some people to come to work as interns, just to cushion the staff levels at the province. Which for now it is working, but we still have gaps, but we are trying the best that we can. But we have also time and again appealed to MDD, which is the division that looks into the staff welfares and the structures in the provinces, that they should restructure the provinces as soon as possible. So with the few that we have, from Assistant Secretary to Chief Human Resource, in fact, at that time, we didn't have even a Chief Human Resource Development Officer. We did ask Cabinet, and they have since given us. Actually, one is the one who's just seated next to me. So this is where we are saying that where in terms of staffing, human resource, for now we are okay compared in the previous past. And maybe I can ask my director just to respond to the honorable member.
Thank you, PS. What did you say about, you said human resource, the chief human resources, she's new?
She's very much new.
Okay.
Yes.
And the director, what did you say, assistant secretary? How long have you been at the province?
Chair, I'm standing in for Mr. Gondwe, the substantive AS, who is on paternity leave.
What is your position currently at the province?
Provincial Chiefs and Traditional Affairs Officer.
Okay. PS, we understand, but human resource is human resource. So even how long has she been at, madam, how long have you been at the ministry, at the province? Speak through the mic.
Thank you, Chair. I'm relatively new, shy of, I think I would say 6 months or thereabout.
Yeah, not new. 6 months, there should be handovers, and you should, by now, settling down. You can switch off the mic. PS, she's not new. She should know. If she's chief human resource, where she's coming from, we are looking about straightforward things. These staff retains reconciliations. Honestly, she should give an opinion on what she has found, because even I'm sure when these queries came, you were sitting as a group to brief the PS. We need to do this. If she doesn't know PS and you don't want her to speak, even next time she won't know. She should know. She should have. She knows these circulars. It's HRA related. Just like you throw an auditor, you just bring them. They will know that they are supposed to do quarterly payroll audits. And if it's not done, they need to speak. So there's a question from Honorable Wamnyima, which needs to be answered. So Director Finance, you answer, then want to hear from you, Madam, what you are doing about it concerning that issue. Director Finance, you can proceed.
Thank you, Chair. Indeed, misplacement of staff was identified, but it did not mean it is translating to ghost workers. As actually explained in the notes, we do have administrative attachments to just make sure the service delivery in the province. So when the payroll is sitting, for instance, at headquarters, and there is a journalist who has been sent to Luangwa, you find that the staff return will be at Luangwa, but the payroll will be at headquarters. So there will be that
Director Finance. We've told you about speculation, and now you are telling us stories of this when this is done. You can switch off the mic. These things, PS, are simple and straightforward. Let me ask your new officer, Madam. You've been at the province for 6 months. Have you done any monthly reconciliation of your staff?
Thank you so much, Chair. Yes, we have done monthly reconciliations, and it's a continuous process. It's something that we do, like you have said, it's something that we do periodically, and it's continuous.
Honorable Daka, then Honorable Mkosa. Honorable Mkosa, you can go.
Chief Human Resource Officer, when you say we do it periodically, what do you mean? What periods are those?
Thank you, Honorable Mkosa. Honorable Daka.
Thank you, Chair. Chief Human Resource Officer, this committee doesn't rely on speculations. We rely on facts. The committee would want to appreciate, since you have already indicated that you do it periodically. Can you produce any evidence to that effect so that we appreciate what you have been doing with regards to this reconciliation.
Thank you, Honorable Daka. Through the PS, the Chief Human Resource, you have those questions. There's a question from Honorable Mkosa and Honorable Daka. You can proceed.
Thank you so much. I think the evidence that we have are the staff retain registers, but unfortunately I didn't come with them. But these are documents that we could avail. The staff returns, which we come up with. These are the ones that tell us how many, the staff that we have against the structure that we are ideally supposed to have. And also in line with what the Director of Finance said, these officers, some of them, it's just because of the administrative convenience. There are situations where we have maybe 2 staff in one place and there is another district, for example, which has no staff to take care of their affairs. We do those administrative placements to ensure that at least even where we do not completely have any officer, we take an officer there. So these are the misplacements maybe that we are talking about, not exactly that we have ghost workers or something. I hope it's of help. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Amnyama. And the staff returns and reconciliations are different. The staff returns as required by circular number 9 of 2020. So, Honorable Amnyama.
Chair, I'm not understanding the response from the Chief Human Resource. You have staff that are misplaced. You are saying they're at Home Affairs. First of all, let me read the PS submission, just my concern. 48 officers at Agriculture, 2 officers at Home Affairs, 6 officers. So these officers who are sitting on Lusaka Province payroll, who you are saying they're there, have you physically verified that they're there? That's my question. Because you can be saying someone is sitting at Agriculture. What if he's not there and he's just getting a salary? So what is your submission in terms of back-to-back verification that these officers are seated at community who are getting payroll in Lusaka? Did you check them physically that this is Peter Banda who's seated, he's working there? That is just as a practical example. Because failure to do that, then we can't accept this, that they are there somewhere. Or how did you verify it?
Thank you. Through the PS Chief Human Resource, essentially what the Honorable is saying is, did you do your head count? Are you sure that the aforesaid or the mentioned officers are actually sitting where you are insinuating they're sitting? And also Honorable Mkosa's question, he was trying to get clarification. Are you talking about staff retains or what reconciliation? Which is which? And it's straightforward. If we say monthly reconciliation, it's monthly. Is it staff retains? When are they supposed to be done in line with circular number 9 of 2020? So through the PS, you can proceed and answer the 2 questions.
I hope I'll answer the questions. Okay.
You can proceed. You answer.
With your indulgence, Chair, can I just come in and say 1 or 2 things before she comes in?
You can proceed, yes.
I think what we have put in place is, and by law, is that we are talking about the payroll registers, which are supposed to be looked into monthly. Those we don't have to wait. And we have reports monthly concerning the payroll registers. And the only problem that has been there, like I said in my submission, Chair, is that the biggest problems that we have as provinces is that there is dual reporting, whereby we are busy doing something and the parent ministry is also doing something. In the process, we are crashing a lot in terms of payrolls and the like. But what we have done is right now we are reconciling. And what is happening at the PEMIC is now there's a period of cleanup the whole country. I think the government is taking this this exercise. This is how come we're having a lot of ghost workers being identified. But as to whether the province we have done and identified that, I think we started that process. We have succeeded in some areas, while others we are still doing this exercise. This is what is happening right now, Chair. But as it was in the past, and like I said, most of us I knew, I think the handovers and whatever has been happening, it's at some point we're even losing memory of the institution, what has been happening in the past because of no proper handovers. So this is the reason why today we're endeavoring that we do the right things as compared to what used to happen in the past. Chair, I submit.
Thank you. PS, you are not new. Now you are old. If we can say 6 months is not new, then PS, you are old. Honorable Amima.
Chair, I think maybe I summarize my question because I think it's going around in circles. There are 63 misplaced people. So out of these 63, how many have been verified? That is my question, because it doesn't help to say they are here and so forth.
Yeah.
Yeah. How many have been verified out of these 63? That's what the committee wants to know. I submit, Chair.
Thank you. PS, I don't know, Director Finance, Chief Human Resource, or the Assistant Secretary who's also sitting in for somebody who's going to give us an answer. PS, you can proceed.
Yes, Director of Finance will give an answer to that, Chair.
Where is internal audit? Internal audit, did you, what is the position on the 63? Did you help HR and Finance to do a head count? Where are these people sitting? Have you verified that these 63 people are there? Maybe to start with, through the PS, you can proceed.
All right, as internal audit, we haven't verified.
Audit says haven't verified. PS?
He's right. We haven't yet verified, like I did in my submission, that we haven't verified all of them. And this is the exercise that is ongoing. And in the past, it's an anomaly, and we are learning from this that we shall make sure that if we are to appear next time, if at all we shall make sure that we verify this.
No, PS, no. No, we need an answer for the 63. When you come before this honorable committee, especially when audit have done their work, answers have not been provided, it has escalated to a query. I think PS is befitting that you come with an answer to say this is if there's no answer, there's no answer. So honorable colleagues, there's no answer on this one because we have no documentary evidence, we've got nothing. We proceed to failure to deduct NAPSA contributions. You can ask questions on that. Honorable Mumba can proceed.
Thank you, Chairperson. I just wanted to find out from UPS the deduction of NAPSA contributions, which wasn't taking place. You have a fully fledged internal audit department. Why did it take the Auditor General's report, or indeed the Auditor General, during its findings to discover that this statutory contribution was not being deducted? Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Sabah.
Thank you, Chair. PS, what measures have you put in place to prevent the occurrence of the same situation? I submit, Chair.
Thank you. PS, you can proceed.
I'll allow my Director of Finance to respond to that.
Director of Finance, you can proceed and give us an answer, not a story.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, we have the audit, we have the inputs. These inputs are done by end users, and the process of inputting, sometimes they omit what we call statutory transactions to be on the pay slip. So these are errors that are done by end users, and sometimes it takes some time before it is identified by audit, because these pay slips are not usually made available easily through the system, because I think we do not have physical pay slips currently. So it's just a technicality. However, this was identified and correction was done. So the prevention of the recurrence of this issue is that inputs pass through audit, pass through finance, but remember, sir, Chair, that, or you can actually be reminded, Chair, that the actual inputting is done by an end user who is not totally in control by anybody. It's that person's capabilities and skills. If he omits, there's nothing we can do. We are not there. He's the one handling the system. So it's just for us to be continually checking.
Director of Finance, you can switch off your mic.
Thank you.
I cautioned you not to start giving us stories. We are people who are conversant with the system, and we've worked in the civil service, myself. And what you are telling us now is just something else, which I think doesn't befit even to be said before this honorable committee. There should be stopgap measures, and who checks who. We know the process when we want to do inputs. They start from where? HR, they'll come maybe to you, finance, because it's monetary issues. You check, you stamp, they go to audit clears it. Then these people from HR, they go and do the input. You have a way to check. I don't know now. You are saying now there are no pay slips. Way back, pay slips will come, not to individual officers, yes, but also to HR. I don't know now. Maybe things have changed. Maybe just there's no any pay slip available, but there should be electronic things and they can be checked. Even audit, when they're doing their payroll audit, their main document is a pay slip to see deductions, codes. What code is there? What deduction? How long is it running? Even you yourselves in finance, when you give advances and loans, when there's an input, you should know what's the code, and if it's 6 months, if 3 months, it should drop off. So you can't tell us whatever they do, you are not aware, and we can't tell. PS, that's not an answer we need as a committee. We don't need such an answer from Director of Finance. Your Director of Finance has failed to answer questions we've been asking him. Because there should be someone who's checking someone. And take responsibility. That is what's take responsibility and say, yes, was an anomaly, and we've done this now. This is the way forward, and this is what we've done. And we are not going to ensure, we'll make sure that this doesn't happen again. But if you start telling us off, now you are blaming junior officers who go to input end users. So now for your finance PS is blaming HR to say HR are the ones who go to make mistakes. That is not befitting this committee. PS, we want a proper submission over this issue of NAPS. And you've submitted that you've since started deducting. And also these officers, what punitive measures PS have you taken for this kind of conduct? Honorable Mumba, you have a follow-up question.
Chairperson, just to ride on what you were saying, for me, from what you have explained, Chairperson, just a synopsis of what goes on every payment. So, in short, if the external auditor, who is the Auditor General's office, if they never visited you, this anomaly would have continued. Is that the submission you are making to this August House? Because then quite clearly your internal audit is weak. Because can you imagine, you, Director of Finance, you're supposed to repay your advance in 6 months and somebody continues running it. And you just keep getting less money. But you have never really wondered what has gone or what is happening. So if the external auditors who are the Auditor General did not come, this problem would have continued. Is that the submission? Or would it have been that you were going to identify through your internal audit? Thank you.
Thank you. PS, you can answer that question and tell us what you are doing about this anomaly or what you've done, then we can move forward. Thank you. You can
Yes,
proceed.
Chair, I totally agree with this submission that has come from Honorable Member of Parliament. I think in the previous, like I said, I think there were a lot of gaps right from the time we're doing the inputs to the time when the end user would put in at PEMIC. I think somewhere there were some gaps which for sure, had it not been for external auditors, these things could have even continued. But now that we have realized that there was something like this that is happening, I must assure you and the House that we are putting preventive measures to make sure that it does not repeat itself. Among other measures that we have put in place is that to begin with, we are orienting the new staff or whoever is concerned that if they themselves observe that there is an anomaly on the payslip, they should inform human resource as quickly as possible. Others may feel happy that nothing is being deducted, but we always tell them that one time or the other it will still come back. So that's one of the things that we have done to orient all the new recruited staff that they should report any anomaly on the pay slip. Then the other one is also we are now educating, or rather we are having what I would term as the courses. They are taking some courses and together with PEMIC staff there on how they should be doing their work. So there are refresher courses that we are giving to our members, starting from human resource through to our end users and the accounts. And this is what we are doing right now. That is now responding to the question that came from Member of Parliament, Chikankata. I submit.
For me, PS, that the question has not been addressed. And your measures you're talking about, yes, are administrative. You see, and administrative measures have got major weaknesses. Because you are telling me I should report in an event that I don't report. Then what happens? So what would be fitting for this committee even to hear are systems. What things are you doing in the system to ensure that these issues are kept? Then you didn't answer the question. Are these issues of failure to deduct in NAPSA? Has this NAPSA been deducted? Has it been normalized now? Maybe that's a question that's what we want to know. Director Finance, you can proceed.
Thank you, Chair. The NAPSA has been normalized and it has been deducted.
And you've attached evidence of deductions in this?
Yes, Chair, the evidence is there.
What's the appendix?
That's Appendix 4.
Honorable colleagues, you can check Appendix 4. Then we can proceed to irregular payment of housing allowance. Honorable Amnima. You can switch off the mic, Director Finance.
Thank you very much, Chair. Controlling officer, I'm sure this is a legacy issue, but the concern that
I think this committee has is that 127,852 was paid to as housing allowance to people who were occupying houses. And you have attached on Appendix 5 the recoveries of these payslips. But the major concern is that you see this audit, the period under review is right about over 5 years. Will we be waiting for the Office of the Auditor General to unearth such issues? Why weren't these issues being raised by internal audits? The moment people who are occupying government houses started being paid, what was the Office of Internal Audit doing? Why is this coming up now when we have external auditors? Did internal audit pick this up? I submit, Chair.
Thank you. Through the PS, the human resource people can answer. Whoever is from human resource can give us your answer. PS, you can proceed.
Chair, I'll ask the internal auditor to respond to that, if you may allow me.
Internal audit, you can respond.
Thank you so much, Chairperson. I wish to mention that the audit that we undertook and the report that was issued in 2021, some of these issues were issued where we brought them out in the report. However, these are things I think, like it was alluded that because of these movements that are made by mother ministries, that some of these things come, they keep recurring because you find that others are being moved from one place to another. However, as internal audit, these are some of the things that we continually bring out, and we brought them out in the report that we issued. Thank you.
Yes, you've got any submission?
Yes, more so just to add on what the internal auditor has said, I must also admit that there's also a disconnect from our sub-warrant officers on the ground, that they are not giving us the right information until we start doing the auditing. What I mean is that if there are some documents to show that this one is such an officer is occupying a house, that is not coming to the attention of us at the headquarters. So we see that there was a disconnect. But this time we are making sure that we are working hand in hand with our sub-warrant officers on the ground, that is the districts. I submit, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Daka.
I would like to take the controlling officer back to the NAPSA issue. This Appendix 4, Chair, I've checked through this document for this particular appendix, Chair. It's only the October deductions that were affected, Chair. So to me, this triggers a question that to find out from the controlling officer whether further deductions besides the October ones were also affected. If so, is there any documentary evidence that you can submit before this committee? Because I'm sure it wasn't only 1 month that they didn't deduct, because the fact that it took an auditor from outside or the external auditor to come and discover this matter, which means this thing was ongoing for a period of time. So, Chair, I would like the controlling officer to put us to speed as to how much deductions, how many months have you effected in terms of deductions under NAPS. I submit, Chairperson.
Thank you, PS. You've got that question. This same applies to irregular payment of housing allowances. Have you recovered this money in totality, or where are you at concerning this issue? You can proceed.
Chair, in regard to the housing allowance, it's ongoing, but we effected the deductions. But for NAPSA, I will ask Director of Finance just to say something on this one.
Director of Finance, you can say something.
Thank you, Chair. If we pick any serial number of the payslip, maybe serial number 5, you note that the period is there on the payslip.
Yeah, it's 23 months. We've seen it.
Yes. So
yes.
Definitely it tells you that the input has been made.
So it's running for 23 months?
Exactly, Chair.
Okay. Thank you. Honorable Amnyima.
Chair, just as I just wanted to find out through PS on your question. There's one thing that I needed to clarify. When did these monthly reconciliations on the payroll resume? Is there a date? Maybe HR can help us so that we are put up to speed, because we've just been heard that you've been reconciling. From when?
Thank you. PS, through PS, the Chief Human Resource, these reconciliations you started doing, when did you start? There's a start date, and the committee would like to know.
Yes, I may still refer to Director of Finance to respond to that.
PS, we want HR to answer the question. That one now is for HR. She said in her remarks that she's that's why I asked how long, and she said ever since she came to the province, they've been doing I don't know if it's monthly returns or reconciliations. So we want to hear, when did you start, madam, to do your returns, your reconciliations?
Thank you so much. These reconciliations are things that I found at the province, and we actually have an officer that is assigned to do that, and I cannot. The only problem is that I cannot say that we did it last on this particular date, but I can confidently say that we have been doing the reconciliations.
Honorable Mukosa.
So if we are to ask you, did you do the monthly reconciliations for February? What would be your answer?
Thank you. Yeah, if February, did you do your reconciliations or your returns?
Yes, we did.
And you have evidence you can give us that you did?
Yes, we did.
No. Do you have evidence you can give us that to show us that yes, the reconciliation was done? You can provide evidence.
Chair, when coming here, I didn't address my mind to bringing any evidence, but if it's something that we had beforehand, maybe we should have brought something more. But I can confidently say, even this week, this is something that we were looking at, the reconciliation. So I can confidently say that we have been doing.
Daka, Honorable Daka.
Chair, now the committee is being put, you know, where the committee now is at sea, because these matters to do with returns and reconciliations are part of the query that the Auditor General raised. And getting a submission from a chief, is it human resource officer or director, that he didn't anticipate a question in line with this is unacceptable, Chairperson. We are at sea basically as a committee, because we are not getting befitting responses from her as a Chairperson.
Thank you. PS, you can rescue Chief Human Resource or Director Finance.
Thank you, Chair. As you may know, payroll is dynamic. So it's not possible that you can just have a month without reconciliation. So through the PS, notices are made every month to all heads of departments to have staff returns to help with payroll reconciliation. So this is done every month.
Director of Finance, you are speaking in an ideal situation. You've got a query that is not being done, was not done. PS, that what you are telling us is an ideal situation which is supposed to be done, but it's not done. So why is it not done? PS, Honorable Wamnyima. That is a question. So we don't want to hear you write and then but it's not done. If it was being done, it should have not even arisen as a query. Yeah, Honorable Wamnyima.
Chair, just to augment on what you're submitting, Chair. Controlling officer, if these reconciliations are done or are being done, why weren't they submitted to the Auditor General during audit? Where were they during audit? These reconciliations, were they submitted to the Auditor General? And if they were submitted, you must come before them because these are queries. So if you come here before PAC and saying, no, we do, but you've left them, we can't accept that. So where were they during audit? I submit, Chair.
Thank you. PS, this is, I think, a second time you're appearing before this Honorable Committee. We don't admit speculations. As we are a committee which works on evidence, it should be provided, verified. If someone is submitting, we do, they should be here. And Dr. General should look at them. So, unfortunately, those submissions we've done, they cannot hold water. PS, you can make your submission, then we conclude the meeting.
Chair, I think just from what you are talking to us, or what you are telling us right now, I must admit the very fact that there have been a lot of anomalies going on. We have come to a stage whereby all these anomalies now, we are going to look into them. It's just unfortunate that they were identified by external auditors, when in actual sense we would have identified them ourselves. Looking at the systems that we are putting into in place, both administratively and the systems, I think we shall overcome these problems that have come to us. I must admit that yes, there were anomalies, and we are going to do the very best we can.
Yes, before you proceed, Madam Chief Human Resource, you don't come to my committee and start typing your phone. I don't know if you are calculating your reconciliation or what. You don't do that. We don't allow phones. I don't want to chase you out of this committee. So just put your phone down and let your PS finish submission. PS, you can proceed.
Sincere apologies, Chair, on behalf of my member. I think next time we shall give her the rules so that she's up to the standard of the House. Sincere apologies. So we shall make sure that we put everything in place, and we have learned, and from your advice that is coming from you, I think we shall put up systems that will make sure that this will not repeat itself. Chair, I submit.
Thank you, PS. Honorable colleagues, I think we have no further questions for the PS. PS, payroll issues are pertinent issues for this committee. You are controlling officer and you are aware that the major composition of the budget is personal emoluments. And for us, our role as an oversight committee is to ensure that public resources are not lost through the payroll issues such as misplacement of staff and all that. So we employ you, PS, as you go back with your entire team, that you work on these issues. You don't have a lot of issues, but however, there are very, very serious issues pertaining to payroll. That's what we've been telling your other your colleagues, controlling officers, that we want payroll to be cleaned to ensure that no ngwe should be lost due to negligence of either your staff or due to either incompetence of your staff, or either the PSMD or PEMEC not adhering to your request, because you trigger the movement, you trigger the inputs. So all those should be, that's why you've seen PEMEC is here to represent their PS, so that we can address these issues from this committee, and moving forward there's no one who's saying, no, we wrote to PEMEC, no, PEMEC we don't know, no, we didn't. We want a back-to-back to ensure that these issues are mitigated in the quickest possible time. You are in Lusaka as Lusaka province, and PEMEC is next door to you. I should, in a nutshell, you can take a walk to PEMEC and have some of these things done in the quickest possible time. You've got your input dates in a month. Let's have these things properly documented, as and when you take a letter to them, have it stamped, received, so that when you come to appear before, you say, Honorable Chair and the committee, we took the letter, PEMEC failed. Then we say, PEMEC, can you explain yourself? We are not here, PS, to demean you or to demean your staff, but we are here to do our job. And our job is to ensure that we follow the guidelines and procedures, and to ensure that you, officers conferred with that duty to appropriate, to do any other duties on behalf of the Zambian people, is done accordingly. That's why you are there. So PS, with that said, please work on those issues. We do give our recommendations, and moving forward, those things should be done. So we do thank you most sincerely, together with your team, for coming to appear before this honorable committee. And let me take this opportunity, PS, to lift a minute which was conferred before you, that has been lifted, and you are free to go, sir. Thank you so much.
Much obliged, Chair, and thank you for your guidance.
Thank you. Thank you so much.